Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of Radio Free Decipher. This is Evan Lorenz coming to you from Norfolk without Kyle this week, who is away at Gen Con and quite busy when I talk to him. So I have brought down to the mic Justin Pakes. Juz, how are you today?
Good, thanks Evan. One of the only two people in the building, I think.
Just about. The top floor where all of the TCG studio designers inhabit is pretty bare right now.
It's like a ghost town.
Yeah. But here we are working dedicated on our respective games.
Some people just can't be stopped.
There you go. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to. Of course, Coruscant is coming out next week on the 8th, Wednesday. It's been a while since you've been working on that set, but let's roll back the clock a little bit.
Yeah, indeed, it's been quite a challenging product schedule this year. So, yep, Coruscant releases next Wednesday. That was an interesting set because Tatooine for us was the introduction to the Episode 1 environment, thus being a smaller set, 90 cards, etc. So Coruscant was a bit more of a let the shutters out, full-size, 180-card set and see what we can play with. But it's also a challenge to take a theme such as politics and try to make that into something that has a gameplay, even battle-oriented sort of feel to it.
A battle-oriented game getting a political element to it sounds like an interesting challenge. What made you decide to go that route? Just necessity because of Coruscant, or just kind of to make a different texture in there?
There were other themes, but also we wanted to actually make sure we bring something in to the, as in Coruscant itself as a location that things happened, and the things that happened there influence the rest of the Star Wars universe. So before this, Coruscant has primarily been only for a couple of deck archetypes, maybe ISB, that sort of thing. So this time we wanted to make sure that, you know, if you have control of the Senate on either side, then you are in a good spot to actually push your will upon the rest of the galaxy, and that is sort of the basis of what that theme itself was. But we also got to play with a lot of other things, because trying to make the Episode 1 environment, the closed environment there, viable, we got to add in a fair few things from around the Naboo region, locations-wise, battle droids, destroyer droids, things like that. So we've got to highlight a bit of that stuff that you'll see a lot more of too in Theed Palace.
Cool. Yeah, from kind of the peeking at cards and talking with you and Joe a little bit, I do get the impression that Coruscant and Theed Palace are pretty well connected, that you had a lot of ideas looking forward about, you know, what was going to be in the next set.
And yeah, indeed, the plan for this year's product releases have been pretty firmly in stone for a while. We moved to decision to move to Episode 1 with Lucasfilm's blessing. And so the move on to Theed was reasonably obvious, but we know we needed some of those character and elements back in Coruscant, especially to non-unique characters, that sort of thing, to make the Episode 1 environment viable for a decent character base. So that started to give us an idea about how the Theed layout would be, how the locations would sit, what type of locations we'd do, and that then makes you have to think ahead before you can do the design before. So Theed Palace was designed in pretty close proximity also to Coruscant, and has been had a fair bit of design go in fairly early for the core elements of Theed Palace also.
Okay. Now, you mentioned about getting the blessing of Lucasfilm to bring Episode 1 into the game, which introduces a question that I know has been on a lot of players' minds, issues of allowing certain things from different timelines to mix, like for example, Senator Palpatine and the Emperor. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
It has indeed been, up until the pre-release, that was a cause of great speculation.
Yes.
It was even a cause of great speculation for us for about a month there. Previously, we actually explored the concept, and there is a three-way link there in the end. There's Palpatine, Sidious, and the Emperor. So we were exploring the link between Senator Palpatine and Emperor Palpatine, as you see him in the classics. And basically, even though we had some design templates down, we pretty much had to go to Lucasfilm and say, how will these two characters be handled? And what you see in the game is basically a direct result of what they told us.
Okay. Was there ever a point in the process where you were considering maybe sort of the Lando sort of situation?
It was thought about, and it was considered a lesser and more achievable version than the Anakin Vader issue, which is one that has such a remarkable effect on gameplay. It was considered that it could possibly be done, but of course, in both cases, you lose the gameplay functionality of the card. It's cool from a storyline point of view, but how often do you see Dark Lando played unless there's Sabak sort of thing?
Right,
because the risks are great.
It's a liability more than an asset.
But we had a template down for doing that sort of thing without a strong game text or anything, but a mechanic sort of thing, and it worked, but it wasn't Prius mechanic, so. We still were willing to head down that path, maybe even like a theme-based card or objective-based sort of thing, but Lucasfilm took that decision out of our hands, which was probably actually easier all round, because, in the end, there's still a lot of things we don't know about the next two movies.
That's true. Now, the other thing, besides just senators, that's really a prominent element of Coruscant is suddenly we're going to have all these Jedi running around all over the place.
That was an interesting challenge. It's a situation whereby Jedi has always dominated the playing field in the main character strengths, lightsabers.
So how do you have a whole set with tons of them?
We had to pull them back, and one of the lessons we learnt from the EPPs was that strong game text is acceptable as long as then immunity isn't unavoidable, and you can't have 7 or 8 Jedi Council members that are completely immune to attrition.
Right.
That would have taken not only the core environment away, but the Episode 1 closed environment would have left dark side in the dust. So it was really based around what we see them doing in the movie, which was pretty much sitting around musing.
Right.
While they're holding court, a bit like the Senate themselves and the Jedi Council, then they can manipulate elements. But it really, when it comes to them going out, it's pretty much only at the behest of Yoda that they go out to do their particular mission. So they got that. There's a few Jedi who are a little bit cooler than that, a bit more mobile if you're willing to pay the cost, such as Mace and Ki-Adi-Mundi, the Jedi Knight. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, they're pretty much a few guys who work best for you when they're up there at their 3-0 location sort of thing. So it's a sub-theme, no doubt about it. It's a sub-theme for that set sort of thing, and introduces some cool characters, but there's more to be done. There's a lot of the Jedi Council not revealed yet.
What would you say is maybe one of your favorite aspects of the set?
From a pure design point of view?
Just, what got your interest working on it?
I think the first one that I sat down and thought, these could be really good, was actually the Destroyer Droids.
Yes. Joe actually was on a few weeks ago and had a lot to say good about Destroyer Droids as well.
They're good fun, and it's sort of a whole different change in mindset to see droids that actually can make your opponent worry a little.
Right. They pretty much used to just be odds bait.
Yeah, the droids would pretty much sort of sit around and do something. Now, we've got a very useful non-battling droid in 3PO with parts from the Tatooine expansion, but this was a case of suddenly droids can fight battles, win battles, hold ground, force you off ground, so can we make them good enough?
Okay.
And the interesting decision there was that we actually decided not to make Destroyer Droids warriors, because they've pretty much got their guns on their hands and they're not going to be really picking up anything else. So they're cool. I think they're just cool cards, and I love the concept of the droid because I think they're good. It'll be interesting to see if players can make something powerful out of the full battle droid and the Moidian type themes that are coming up in Theed Palace.
Another thing that was a big revelation in Coruscant when the pre-release happened at San Diego recently was people didn't know up until that point that there were combo cards in the set. Yeah,
that's true. It's been a bit of a hidden, and there's only a couple. It's this set is dominated by Episode 1 themes as we make the Episode 1 environment playable. But combo cards are just great. I mean, that in the end is just card efficiency without you having even to think about it. So it's always good to squeeze even out of a traditional deck, squeeze out another slot and let the player start thinking a little bit wider.
Okay, cool. Now, Reflections 3 has just had a few murmurs to this point. You want to kind of flesh that out for us a little bit?
Those 6 or 7 players actually do read their rules cards.
Yes.
Would have noticed that's been on the bottom of the rules cards in the coming sets for this year. Indeed, Reflections 3 for us is mostly in the bag. It's about approval time for the moment. There's a little bit of tweaking still to do, but the artwork is mostly in hand. It's an interesting set. It's unlike the previous sets, which have sort of been small subsets. This, based on the theme that, as the Star Wars movies came in threes sort of thing, Reflections 3 also brings just a lot of diverse elements together. There is currently going to be a reasonably strong premium card theme, and a lot of premium cards will be the size of like a small set almost, but along a couple of core themes. It's actually, probably the news that most people don't know is that it's actually set to release before Theed Palace does.
Really? Okay, so things are a little out of order from what people were maybe expecting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether people were expecting that to be a more Christmas release, but we promised we'd get those 3 sets and Reflections out this year, and that is definitely what we're going to do.
Now, it's contrasted a little bit to Reflections 2. Are there a large number of expanded universe type of material based on the books going into Reflections 3?
There is not a lot of expanded universe at all. The 2 primary themes out of this is there's a primary Episode 1 theme, which is the lightsaber dueling, lightsaber combat, we've actually called it, type of theme.
Okay.
And there is also a varied mix of classic cards, including some of the mains and semi-main characters, as well as a bunch of theme-based cards.
Okay.
Which were very popular coming out of Tatooine. Because
things that enhanced existing objectives and such.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, more of that.
I think Reflections 3 has a larger helping of red cards, the interrupts, verbs, etc. than we would expect from other products, where it tends to be a smaller set of 20 to 30 cards, subset of mostly characters. But there's a lot of stuff in there, and that gives you a lot of depth for going back and looking at your previous cards.
Okay, so theme expanding and lightsaber combat, which
there's
might
a couple
have
of other
expected
surprises
to see
in
in
there.
Seed.
There's a couple of surprises in there. We'll hold those off for the while.
All right, good deal. Anything else you want to toss out while I've got you here?
No, I'm actually dead keen to see how Coruscant comes out and see what people can actually do with a Senate package. Because the Senate package has some powerful manipulation in it, but in the end, it's a 10 to 15 card package you need to make the rest of your deck do what it does better. So it's a real tuning environment. I'm interested to see.
We'll see. Certain players, I imagine, will take to it very quickly, and others will.
All the top players adjust to things very quickly, and the interesting part of the moment is Watch Your Step is a very strong light side deck with a lot of versatility. So people are still using that a lot, but. It'll be interesting to see if Coruscant can be moved around towards a battling mechanic, but there's some big characters in there, so that always helps.
Okay. Well, thanks for sitting down and taking the time to talk about it.
It's a pleasure.
All right. To everyone else out there, we will see you back next week with Kyle returning to the office. Have a good weekend.